Episode 204, Assassin. The moment Zach saw the muzzle of the gun, he knew he was finished. Just now, he had looked to his right and saw a 3-year-old baby sitting there obediently. He could try to dodge it, and he could guarantee that he would be able to dodge it. But once he dodged it, the gun in the hands of the beggar standing on the left side of the window would shoot out bullets that killed the baby. Although Zach did not know this baby, at this moment, he did not dare to dodge. Because of him, making a 3-year-old child die in his place made him very uneasy. After making the decision to stay still, Zach started to swing his body as much as he could. It looked like he was shaking, but his movements were very fast. He was dodging in a fatal position to ensure that he wouldn't die after being hit by one of the bullets. However, the beggar did not hesitate at all, as if he was thinking about whether he could kill him with 1 shot or 2 more shots. He watched as his finger pulled the trigger. Zach's heart calmed down. He was wondering if there was anything he was worried about after his death. After thinking about it carefully, he realized that there was nothing he could worry about. The old fox would take good care of Kate, Zena, and Susie for him. So at most, it was just that they were especially sad. In a few years, they would be able to invest in a new relationship. This was also quite good. In case they were too sad, having a new relationship could also help them walk out of their depression. Just as he was letting these thoughts run wild, a bang suddenly exploded above the beggar's head. Zach was so scared that his body trembled, and he only thought that he had been shot. However, when he saw a broken flower pot splattered upon the beggar's head, he realized that it wasn't him who had fallen. The next moment, the beggar rolled his eyes and fell to the ground. Zach couldn't believe it. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? He was about to die, but the beggar would be knocked out unconscious by a flower pot? Could this be the will of the heavens? Was this the heavens not going to let him die? Without thinking further, Zach quickly got up and walked out. He had to take this beggar away. But just as he left the room, someone suddenly fell down from the upper floor. It was unknown which floor they had jumped off from. After rolling on the ground and unloading the force, the agile man quickly came in front of the beggar. "Big brother, are you all right? It's over, it's over, it's over! Don't smash another flower pot to death. Boss, help me carry him to the car. I'll send him to the hospital." Zach was stunned when he saw this person's face. He never thought that it would be Donnie. However, it was obviously not the time to ask questions. Zach and Donnie reached out to grab the beggar, who was knocked out by the flower pot, and got him into the car. Zach also stayed in the car. He took off his belt and tied the beggar's hands and legs back, as if tying a pig. Donnie drove in the front and threw a cigarette over. Zach lit the cigarette and asked, "Why did you come back? Didn't you lead the team in the Middle East?" A while ago, Donnie had been crying and crying all day long. He wanted to go to the Middle East to play, so Zach sent him away. But how long had it been since he had been gone there? Why had he returned? Just as he was curious, Donnie replied, "I don't want to be there. I'll leave it to someone else." Zach was stunned. "Who did you get to do it?" "Mason." Donnie's words made Zach speechless. Then Donnie explained that Mason took over the troops and said that he wanted to bring them to something more important. His current task was to return to the country and continue to protect Zach. He wanted to become Zach's driver and bodyguard. Zach was speechless. He knew that this was not Mason's intention. It was an old fox. The old fox was most likely afraid that he would control such a powerful force and commit crimes everywhere. The old fox guessed that it was because of this reason that he confiscated his men. All right, so be it. So be it. In any case, the money was originally invested by his family, so he had already found out what he wanted to investigate. It's pretty good to have someone to manage it for me now. However, it was tough on Donnie. It was not easy for you to be a boss and have fun. You returned to your original form before it even warmed up. Donnie was also helpless. Exactly. I already told Mason that if you don't give me a second in command, you can give me a third in command. I can't possibly be lower than Sonny and Fred. Who would have thought that Mason would directly kick me here as a bodyguard? Zach took a puff of his cigarette. and then asked with a smile, "What? Are you feeling wronged?" Donnie waved his hand and said, "Not really. I know Mason is doing this for my own good. You are the big boss. If I follow you, I will be able to move up in the ranks of the family. But personally, I still like the battlefield. I feel that place is freer." Zach also understood Donnie's thoughts. He knew that what Donnie said was the truth. "In the future, since Mason arranged for you to come here, then you just have to be my driver. If it wasn't for you today, I would have lost my life. I still have to thank you properly." Donnie replied, "Boss, I know you'll be fine. You were just afraid of hurting the child beside you." Zach was slightly stunned. "You look very carefully. Are you monitoring me?" Donnie smiled awkwardly. "Didn't you encounter it this morning? You also successfully destroyed a remote control plane." Zach suddenly understood. He thought that the tracking team was sent by Lance. He didn't expect that it was actually Donnie who had brought people back. Donnie then explained that he had brought 2 people with him. One of them was good at running, and the other was good at driving. Of course, this was only a secondary profession. Their main profession was their combat strength, as well as their various detection and anti-detection skills. In other words, Donnie had formed a group to protect Zach this time. Zach felt somewhat speechless. "You formed a group to protect me. Is there a need for that?" Donnie replied seriously. "As for Mason, he has already said that you are his future boss. You must be treated seriously. What happened today has already been proven. Mason is right. This kind of protection is indeed necessary. But boss, you are also a thief. Those 2 fellows are very good at tracking. You actually played them in circles." This kind of praise, besides making Zach want to kick Donnie twice, had no other thoughts. He guessed that Mason should be the one who guessed what would happen to the future boss. It was impossible for the old fox to say such a thing. The old fox was the real thief. He could pull out the nail at any time if it was something that was set in stone. How could he say such a thing? But since they were already here, then come. Reality proved that if Donnie hadn't come in time today, he might have died. Thinking about this matter, Zach turned his head and looked at the fake beggar beside him. A beggar naturally wouldn't be noticed by anyone. Even if the police interrogated him, they would intentionally or unintentionally leak it out. Who would be willing to pay attention to a beggar? Thus, it was very convenient to escape after doing something. Unfortunately, since he couldn't escape now, he had to explain the matter clearly. Zach had to take a good look at who was so formidable, hiring a gunman to kill him directly. Episode 205. You Can't Either. Donnie drove the van all the way to an abandoned warehouse in the suburbs. After getting out of the car, Donnie's 2 subordinates, namely the runaway man and GTR, were already waiting there. After greeting Zach respectfully, the 2 of them dragged the fake beggar into the warehouse. Zach did not go in. He just smoked and chatted with Donnie outside. About 10 minutes later, the man ran out of the warehouse. He told Zach a name. Justin. Justin. Zach still had a clear impression of him. He was the one whose tendons were directly picked out by him. It was just a scare at that time, which was a small punishment. 100 days of recuperation and training could basically be restored to normal. However, it was obvious that Justin had made a big fortune. He did not like this kind of scare. Therefore, he wanted to send Zach away from this world. Zach washed his cigarette, then waved his hand and flicked the cigarette butt into the sky. The running man said, "Boss, how should we deal with Justin and the beggar in the warehouse?" Zach did not answer. Donnie said, "Boss's behavior has always been to return the favor." The man nodded. "Understood." Zach and Donnie got into the business car. Before they drove far, they heard banging sounds coming from the warehouse. Since they were assassins, they were naturally prepared to lose their lives. The beggar should have known this long ago. That night, Lance sat at the table in the middle of the house and continued to eat his dinner, which consisted of 2 dishes and a soup. Other than the slight change in the dishes, nothing else had changed, including his slow and elegant manner. The secretary reported on the company's matters at the side, and then talked about other matters outside of the company. I have arranged for people to keep an eye on Zach today. In the afternoon, I received news that Zach was attacked with a gun, but during the attack, the attacker was knocked out by a falling flower pot. Lance smiled. He felt that the word accident was too good for his secretary. It was a funny word. How coincidental and unexpected must it be to hit the attacker's head? However, he didn't say anything. He still maintained the strict rules of not saying a word. At this moment, the secretary received a call and went to the side to answer. When he returned, his expression was a little embarrassed. "Sir, I just received news that Justin fell off the building and died. The suspect has already been controlled by the police. It's his father." Lance was slightly stunned. He was not surprised that Justin would die. If it were him, if someone wanted to kill him with a gun, he would naturally kill him. This was nothing. However, he couldn't understand why Justin's death wasn't an accident. Instead, it was his father who killed his son. Then the secretary continued. "We heard from our people that Justin was forced to visit his stepmother in the hospital, and then Justin's father saw him. His father is quoted as saying, 'The two of us were so excited that we lost control of ourselves, and then we fell down.'" Lance put down his chopsticks. He never talked when he ate. He did not want to break the rules for Zach after so many years. So he wiped his mouth and chose not to eat. But only then did he realize that he still broke the rules. When the nanny came over to tidy up the food, Lance just finished his tea. "Save that bowl of rice for me. Make egg fried rice tomorrow morning. Don't waste it." After instructing the nanny, Lance looked at the secretary. "Do you think this is possible?" The secretary felt that it was completely possible. But Lance asked. He could only say, "It's hard to say. With Justin's temper, he could indeed do such a thing. And the fact that he drugged his stepmother at the birthday party is known by everyone in the circle." Lance broke another rule and smoked the fourth cigarette. "Even you said so. I think there is yellow mud in his pants." Yellow mud fell from his crotch. It was either shit or mud. This kind of thing couldn't be explained clearly. The secretary said again, "If this matter was done by Zach, then I think we should not provoke him. This kind of person is not on the same path as us. We are discussing it seriously, but he feels a bit fierce." To be able to make a secretary take the initiative to persuade the boss to retreat, this was no longer a problem of being fierce. It was very fierce. Very fierce. It was also because of this that Lance broke the precepts, one after another tonight. He was weighing whether or not this matter could still be carried on. He was not worried about this kind of problem. After all, he was used to putting his life on the line in the past. However, he could not only consider himself, he also had to consider his own family. He was worried that Zach would act recklessly. In the end, when his cigarette was snuffed out in the urn, he made a decision. Zach has a sense of hierarchy. As long as we don't cross the boundary, he won't cross the boundary. Maybe it's easy for him to deal with me, but as long as we stay at his level and fight him, I believe we won't lose. These words were merely words of encouragement from Lance. However, it was different this time. He started to determine the level of his battle, and he had always been on his home ground, which meant that he had already lost. Although he didn't want to admit it, he had to admit that he was afraid of Zach. The incident of the movie being attacked and his girlfriend Marie being thrown into the Public Security Bureau had let him witness the power of Zach's counterattack. In just half a day, he had done so many things. This time, it was also the same half a day. It was only half a day since Justin found someone to attack Zach, but Justin had already reported to the underworld. Doing things depended on the result, but one also had to weigh the speed. He knew that if he were to interact with Zach in another world, he wouldn't be able to be as decisive as Zach. Taking a deep breath, Lance suppressed the fear in his heart that he did not express, and then asked, "Is there any new information?" The secretary continued, "Yes, it has been found out that the vice president of Gold Dollar Company, Jessica, has left her post. Before she left, Zach went to look for her. She also left with Zach. Now Jessica is looking for someone to make a script. She should be making a movie. In addition, the Dream Advertisement Company under Zach's name has just established Dream Film and Television Company. They are also spending a lot of money to look for celebrities who are about to expire. It has also been confirmed that they are going to enter the film industry. I wonder if they are coming for us. I have also checked about the Dream Group. The CEO is Larry. The CFO is Lewis. And the nominally boss is Kate, which means she is Zach's girlfriend. In fact, the real boss behind this is Zach. If we add Jessica, the secretary pondered for a while and finally summarized 2 words. Very strong. Lance reached out his hand and gently rubbed his forehead. It was indeed very strong. Whether it was Larry, Lewis, or Jessica, they were all strong people in their respective fields. It could be said that no matter which one he got, Lance did not mind inviting the second in command of his company. However, these 3 strong people were willing to be Zach's subordinates. Such a valiant company was not easy to fight against. Fortunately, his home ground was the movie industry in the upstate. It was a business. If Zach wanted to set foot in this place, he had no reason not to fight. He wanted to break Zach's movie dream into pieces in the upstate. Therefore, Lance said to his secretary, "Since they want to talk about celebrities, then we can't let them dream about the upstate. It's rotten." Understood. After the secretary left, Lance stood in front of the window and looked at the bustling city outside the window. At this level, no one can beat me. No one can. Not even you, Zach. Episode 206. Next set. Zach stayed with Jessica for the next 2 days. On the morning of the 3rd day, Zach saw Larry rushing upstate. The establishment of the Dream Film Company was very smooth under Larry's control. There were no accidents. Zach had found a director, a screenwriter, and an actor for him, which saved him a lot of effort. Zach brought Larry along and went straight to Director Hamilton. Although they were familiar with each other, they still had to sign the contract. As soon as they entered, Director Hamilton excitedly grabbed both of Zach's hands. He refused to let go no matter what, and his eyes were filled with tears. Larry was waiting for Director Hamilton to shake his hands when he saw Director Hamilton holding Zach's hand so excitedly. He was very surprised and didn't understand what had happened. However, Zach clearly understood this matter. It must be because of the matter of contacting Dr. Duncan. Sure enough, after asking Larry to sit down, Director Hamilton found a reason to bring Zach to the study room. Director Marquez, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know what to say about this matter anymore. My wife told me that day when I was drunk and dropped pills from my pocket. You guessed there was something wrong with me. This made me feel very awkward. I felt that my personal privacy had been exposed. But who would have thought that you actually knew Dr. Duncan and even asked him to treat me? This really made me very happy and very touched. I don't know how to thank you. Director Marquez, I'll return this check to you. I'll help you film this film for free. It could be seen that Director Hamilton was really excited. He wasn't just saying it. He really took out the check Zach had brought earlier. However, Zach waved his hand. Director Hamilton, it's one thing for us brothers to get in touch with Dr. Duncan, but filming a movie is a laborious thing. So take this check. You don't have to be polite to me. If you really feel bad about it, then do your best to help me get the Golden Award. Director Hamilton was deeply convinced by Zach's charisma at that time. What kind of great patriotism was this? He didn't want anything. He wanted to throw his life into it and shoot a movie to get the Golden Award. He wanted to tell the world that old people could make a good movie, and that there was no benefit involved. He didn't want anything else. This kind of strong feeling made Director Hamilton feel bad in his heart. Compared to Zach, he seemed so tiny. After the two of them chatted for a while, Director Hamilton went back to the living room to find Larry. Then, Larry represented Dream Film Company and signed a filming contract with Director Hamilton. Of course, signing a contract was not to write a guarantee. There were many details that needed to be carefully considered, so it took some time. After some time, Larry and Hamilton had finished signing the contract. The two of them were shaking hands to celebrate. This was good. They were finally one step closer to the Golden Award. Oh right, Director Hamilton. Do you know some traffic stars? Although I personally don't like traffic stars, I can't deny that they will bring good publicity to the new film company so that it can be pushed to the market faster. Zach asked Director Hamilton for help, and Director Hamilton immediately agreed. No problem, leave it to me. I heard that the contract for a number of celebrities is about to expire 2 days ago, so I'll contact them and ask them for help. After agreeing, Director Hamilton immediately took out his phone and made a call, contacting the traffic star. After confirming that the other party's contract was about to expire, Zach said to Director Hamilton, "Then I can trouble Director Hamilton to help talk about it?" Director Hamilton immediately nodded, then called Larry and went to meet the traffic star. After the two of them left, Mariah came down from upstairs. Her face was slightly red in her steps. Our Hamilton was tricked by you to come and go. You clearly wanted to do this kind of thing, but you actually lied to him about celebrities. Zach waved his hand. I'm not lying to him. I really want him to help me talk to celebrities. Only when he goes out to talk face to face will this matter have enough influence. Only then will people notice it. Mariah didn't quite understand. Isn't it better to keep a low profile about this kind of thing? If the competing companies find out about it. Mariah did not continue, but Zach was very clear what he meant. She was worried that Zach's competing companies would play tricks. However, Zach could not want to see it happen. Someone deliberately jumped out to play tricks and did not want to play tricks. Wasn't this all in vain?